Did you ever stop to think about what the world would be like without men?
A bunch of fat, happy women and no crime.
The only reason women go to bars is to get male attention and validation. They want us to hit on them. No, the only reason you go to bars is to hit on and bother women. We go there to have drinks with our friends. And actually, the entire situation would be made so much more pleasant if you just left us alone.
One of the interesting things about TikTok is that it seems to be this platform that's inundated with just a lot of people that have a lot of displeasure for men. And if you're a young person growing up in this environment, especially as a man, you're probably going haywire and you're literally walking on eggshells because there's no rule book anymore. And when you look around, there's this general tenor that men are useless, or men are in the way, or men are oppressing us, or it's just there's no really positive place for men. And it's very confusing for men because it shows how far we've come from the romantic idea of male-female relations to what we have now. If you look on the internet, you'll see all kinds of pictures and memes that harken to an age of chivalry. And this is one of them. And you can see nobility of service, death before dishonor, etc., etc. If you look at this last one, it says courtesy to all ladies, which if you were a young man 30, 40 years ago, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Of course, we were almost at the end of the age of chivalry even then, but now we're completely out of it. And so the idea of being courteous to all ladies can get you in trouble. You can get M2'd with that. And so for a lot of young men in the dating market, not only are you walking on eggshells and you're very careful about your interactions with young ladies, but when you go overseas, it follows you because you are used to being so incredibly careful and you don't want to make a social mistake because it could end your career.
How do the ads pay for everything in the ads? Can you shut the fuck up? Can you shut the fuck up? You're a socialist?
No, it's not socialism or communism. The ads pay for everything. It's like Google, Facebook.
This is not like Google, this is water.
This interaction is a good illustration of the kind of eggshells that many young men find themselves walking on. I want you to listen one more time, but pay attention to the guy who's right off the screen on the left, what he says to her before she says her direct words.
How do the ads pay for everything in the ads? Can you shut the fuck up? Can you shut the fuck up? You're a socialist?
No, it's not socialism or communism. The ads pay for everything. It's like Google, Facebook.
This is not like Google, this is water.
The words that he said to her before she turned and said what she said was, "Can you be nice?" Now, think of how that is such a difficult thing to process as a guy. There are certain people telling you should be masculine, you should be macho, but that can get you in trouble if you offend someone. And then you hear the other side saying that you should be more understanding and you should be more polite. And here he tries it here, and she simply turns to him and say, "You need to be quiet." And she says it twice to make sure that there is no misunderstanding. If you're in an environment where you are walking on eggshells very similar to this, then it's going to have an impact on you when you go overseas. And that's why it's really important not just to learn the language, but to pay a lot of attention to the culture, because I want to show you a contrast to this interaction.
¿Dónde vas? Dime algo bueno. Buenas noches.
What's interesting about this interaction is that, beside the fact that it's very somewhat natural, if you will, is that the gentleman that's speaking Spanish, he understands the culture well enough to know that this is not an affront to her because, heck, there's a guy right there in a taxi. He can call the police if he wants to. But this is something closer or more similar to the norm in their culture than it is not the norm. And that comes with not just experience, but studying the culture. The comments are pretty much what you would expect. In America, we call that jail time. That's a lot of likes. In America, we call that mace to the face. And then someone replies, "Everything is too serious in America." And these comments reflect the amount of tension, the amount of trepidation that men feel with just interacting with women in public. But in this case, there's a interesting caveat, because if something were to happen in this situation, it would be very natural for the guy who's twirling her around to just say, you know what, I'm going to protect you. My question to modern women is simply this: how far is it going to go before our logic overrides our biology and men stop wanting to protect women? I wonder if we've already passed that point.
Yeah, you know what's funny? What's a great one is whatever they tell you they do, like if they're making this weird small talk and they're forcing you to listen. Whatever they say, when you're like, what do you do for a living? And they say like finance, or like I'm a trainer, or whatever, you just go, that's cute. They hate that.
They hate that.
They hate
No, they
that.
really, really hate
Or they tell you their name, then say a different name. Like, let's say they say their name is like Gary. Say a name that's completely off, like Hank. Like, it doesn't sound anything like it.
Yeah.
And then they go, it's Gary. And then you go, same thing.
What's interesting to me about this conversation is that this lady has a relatively privileged position in the dating market, because clearly she has a lot of options and she feels like she can play games with guys because of her position. And the question I have is, what happens when you have a plurality of guys who either A, don't see women as wonderful creatures that need men's protection, or B, a large number of guys that say, hey, I'd rather go overseas and be around someone who's not the same way that you are. I just marvel at what I see on social media, because women are so freely displaying a level of contempt for men. And so for a lot of men, they have really no other option except to withdraw or to go somewhere else. And I just wonder if modern women in the West really understand what happens when our standard of life goes down just a little bit and you can use the help of a man. Because in some places, it appears that they still understand that men have worth. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.